son husband.
Her son husband, yes.
Actually, it's a very new term to me. I think I came across it probably not so long ago, about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
But then you highlighted it again on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that more?
Okay. So a son husband, which I also call a rescue husband. It's a husband who's going to rescue a failed woman's life. And this husband normally is a son to that mother. And they are a product of single mothers. They are also a product of lack of masculine energy in their relationships. So they've been raised by the mother all the time. And they have been under the roof of feminine energy all their lives. So whenever they see a superhero in their lives, they see their mother. You know, my mother is everything. She put me through school. She sacrificed everything so that I can be here. My dad was probably a deadbeat. I don't know who my father is, but when it comes to me seeing a hero, I see my mother. And that type of relationship, it now goes to a point whereby the mother also has a deep attachment to the son, in terms of saying that this son is my world. This is my son, somebody I've raised with my own blood and tears. And I love her so much and I want the best for her. But with her wanting the best for the son, she's going to micromanage the life of the son. So she's actually going to also interfere in the decision making of the son. So the son will never have an independent mind of his. He'll never have independent thought of his. He'll always refer back to the mother before he makes a decision. And also the mother has, because it's the son, he has mastered the weakness of the son. So she knows how to manipulate her own son into doing the things that they want. She's going to be also heavily invested in the relationships that the son goes into. And she's going to be the first wife of those relationships. And so much that even the son will not have, long-term relationships because she's going to be seen as weak by the other party. And this boy, because my mother is the hero, I'm going to build a house for my mother. I'm going to buy a car for my mother. I'm going to make life perfect for my mother. And he's not even aware that he's taking the responsibility of his failed father. So he's taken the responsibility of his failed father, and he's now become the husband to the mother. So that's where the term son husband comes from. And the mother, because she's a woman, and a woman, a woman's approach to love is opportunistic. Even to your son, even to the son, she is going to love him unconditionally, but also she's going to love her conditionally based on the fact that this is my means of production. So I won't cut this relationship because it's my means of production. When he comes with a woman in his life, now my territory is threatened because he could love this woman so much and eventually he can forget about me. So the mother is going to be that protective towards the son. And because the son doesn't know what is happening, he's also going to take that role of a failed father and keep on with that type of role.
And we've actually noticed, listening to most of the stories of the men that have been raised in single mother households, that in many a times, the stories they know about their fathers are not true.
True, yeah.
It's, the mother will always paint the father as a deadbeat father, abusive, drunkard. So, and the boy begins to grow up with a hate for men.
Yeah.
There was also another interesting contribution that was shared during the show, where this gentleman was able to show how boys that have been raised or men that have been raised in single household, still revert back to the mother. That
Yeah.
so, and again, I guess this is the mama effect. This
Yeah.
idea we have to get off our
Your
mama's titties.
your mama is in your head.
Your mama is in your head, bro. And we see it also with the stars. A lot of these
Yeah.
celebrities, still maintain their
Kanye
mothers as
West
their
is a classic example.
Kanye West, Burna Boy from
Yeah.
Nigeria. A
Uh-huh.
lot of these footballers still keep their mothers so close. They're either their managers or they keep them abreast on their
Uh-huh.
careers.
Uh-huh.
They are still clinging on their mama's titties.
Yeah.
But there was this example that was shared where you have in a family, you could be a family of 3 or 4, whatever. So you're the one who comes off as the star.
Yeah.
So of course, the mother wants to keep you close to continue, feeding off the resources, as you say. Women are optimists, and I think they do this so innately. It's in their
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
So they'll keep the son close so that they can still, to sustain them, they'll need to be tapping into this resource, which is their son. But even more, what the mother would do is he would try to make all the children equal. So as much as he's sucking resources from this son, you'll be sucking those resources to help the other
Yeah.
siblings that have also not launched or been successful in their own lives.
Uh-huh.
So still also keeping them dependent as opposed to letting them go. And then women, we know, don't let men sort of go off on their own to determine their own life. They're still sort of providing them the crutch that they still hold on to. And in a sense, they think they're helping them, but they're just making them, to develop, to become more reliant on them, and they never become self-reliant to themselves.
True.
So I don't know if you have any comment in relation to that idea that was shared during the space where you have, a successful son, the mother still
Yeah.
holds on to him, or the son comes back because they still
Uh-huh.
have that void. And then the mother tries to distribute the resources to
Yeah.
everyone else.
And he basically becomes a provider.
He becomes a provider.
I was in another space yesterday, and there was a guy who came in, who is a son husband. It was thick-based space. And that guy was so impulsive, and he was so easily triggered. Like you can't reason with him because he's emotional, he's impulsive, he doesn't have patience. And he was telling us about his relationship with the mother. Us, being exposed to this information. Then we told him that, bro, you just need to cut away your mother. He lashed out on us. No, my mom made me who I am. My mom. And then he in his lashing out, he also convicted himself by telling us that I live with my mom in the house. I live with my mom in the house. I live with my mother, with my wife in the house. I live with my mom-in-law in the house. 3 women that are inside her head.
Oh my goodness.
This guy was so lambastic, impulsive. You just couldn't. It was like he was beyond saving. And he just kept on lashing out on us to a point whereby he uses the woman's devices. When a woman can't take accountability, she's not going to attack the problem, that she's going to attack the person. Now he started attacking us. You stupid. You think you are, like, you going to the person now, attacking you, and they want to demean you, and they want to emasculate you. And he was in that type of situation. So it just shows how, like, the detrimental effects of being a son husband. Now this guy, he's saying that the wife wants to leave. The wife wants to leave because he's weak and he's controlled by the mother. Not only she's controlled by the mother, the wife is controlling her. And the mother-in-law is even controlling her, because 3 women in the same house, and there are also kids involved. Now he was just so impulsive. At the end of the day, he was also talking about his father, that he hasn't met his father, but he was telling us about how deadbeat his father was, how evil his father was, how abusive and how much of a loser his father was. Then we asked him, have you ever had your father tell you that? Do you actually know your father? He said, no, I don't know my father, but where everything that you've been told about your father, it comes from your mother. And it might not be entirely true, because the man is not here to defend himself. So like what you just said now, that in many cases, the information that they get from about their fathers is actually negative information. Your father was so and so, your father was so and so. So that was a classic example of this one. It was even an extreme example of a son husband.
Just imagine getting immersed into all that feminine energy, man. And you know, as we shared, I think this was on the Thursday space where we were talking about feminine energy. You know, you'd never realize the impact it is having on
Yeah,
you.
true.
I would share, even in my own experience, you know, and I reflected back, you know, I have an older brother. He went to boarding school quite early on, I think when he was class
Yeah.
3 or 4 in primary, and he was shipped off to another district. It's about 4 hours drive from where we used to live. And if I look at his life now, one, he used to be a guy who used to like sort of to be on his own.
Yeah.
And in many ways, we used to think he's sort of not with the family. But I think he developed, one, a self-reliance in himself.
Mm-hmm.
He also got into sports into high school. So he became quite competitive. And it taught him quite a lot, you know, the
Yeah.
aspect of hard work, the competitiveness, you know. And those are things that when I look back, you know, I was the boy who was left home. I have 4 sisters and my mother.
Yeah.
My dad also never used to be around. And I don't know if this was, I mean, around in the sense of, you know, when he leaves off in the morning, he would come late in the night, probably just have dinner, go sleep. And he does that Monday through to Thursday. Fridays, he used to typically drive off and go to up country in the village,
Yeah.
where he would spend much of his weekend and then come back on Sunday night preparation for the next week. And even now, if I look at his life, I notice, you know, he's retired now. But even when he was still, you know, doing a bit of freelance work, of course, he would wake up, go to work, you know, still maintain that routine he used to have. But now, like on weekends, I normally see he likes going to a farm, which is away from the house, about an hour off, and he'll spend much of his time. So
Yeah.
even the time he spends with my mom is very limited. And I realized now when I was growing up, you know, I grew up a lot with my sisters and my mother. So in a sense, you know, that feminine energy, in a sense,
Yeah.
when I think back, has had some bit of a negative effect in how I respond to certain things in life, you know, that idea of, you know, either being too soft
Yeah.
and that kind of a thing. So feminine energy, you know, it's very subtle, but it really affects you,
True.
particularly as a man. Um, and it's important, even when you get into sort of a marriage scenario, to figure out how you limit that.
Absolutely, man. And I don't know how is it possible that feminine energy can be so strong? Because you never feel it when it's creeping. You just see the results. When you are subjected under the energy, you never feel it at all. But when you go to the real world, because it's not practical in the real world, when you go to the real world, now you get to see that, okay, I've been exposed to feminine energy. And even in for me, it has been in relationships. And like you would live with a woman, and you come in, like now I'm coming in, I'm size 32. 2 years later, I'm size 38. My ambition is slowly going away. I don't do the things that I used to say I used to do. I'm focusing on this woman entirely. I even forget about myself. Now I'm not that strong man that I used to be because of I've had this energy for the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of my life. Now I'm slowly starting to abandon myself as a man. But when I leave the relationship, then I ask myself, how did I even end here? How did I become this person that I've become? You start to see that you have maybe anger issues, you have a bit of mental health issues. But when you can take the account, when you were under that energy, you did not know. You only see the results as they are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, I
true,
even for myself in relationship with women, I realize, I pedestalize women a lot,
true.
and giving them more and forgetting, I forget to prioritize my
Mm,
own
mm,
self.
mm, mm,
Even in my past relations, I remember, this woman would ask me for stuff. Like I think one time she sent me a text that she needed cash. I sent it to
mm.
her, um, and I can bet you she can never do such a thing. She can never
Yeah,
go out of
yeah,
her way to serve you. And
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
just her; it's basically all women. We forget ourselves. We've been told be the protector of this
mm,
woman, be the provider of this woman. And these women, is not that they come from a point of lack. If you happen to be in the dating pool of like sort of the modern corporate woman, they all have
yeah,
very good jobs. In some sense, they could even be earning more than you do.
yeah, yeah,
Right? So, but still, and others never even take a bit of their time sometimes when you take them out. So it makes you, pedestalize women, become more
true,
soft,
true.
um, and even the other day I was actually just thinking, and not just to women, but also the way our society, not even just being within the feminine energy of either siblings, your mother, but also the way the world has become more femme-centric. Uh,
Uh-huh.
because I realize, terms like this is a safe space. You can,
Yeah,
those
this
terms
is a
that
safe
come,
space.
these
Yeah.
narratives that they create.
Yeah, it's a safe space. You can talk
Exactly.
about your feelings.
I started even wondering how far deep has it gone, even in how I run my own company. Uh, we even started talking with my business partner, we need to hire more women. And our past results of hiring more women, particularly in a sector that I am in, if you're looking for developers, they're typically men.
Yeah,
And then you're told, to be more diverse and show
yeah,
equity, bring more women. And in many ways, it never worked for us. And particularly when you're a small company, you sort of don't have that room
mm,
to sort of take the time to build somebody up while you're still running projects with a small number of people. So, if it's a Microsoft, they have the resources to do that.
true,
But
true.
if I'm a small startup here running a company of about 9 to 10 people, I don't have that time.
Difficult,
So I
yeah.
have to be very objective. I get the best. It's out of merit. I don't care if he's a man or he's wearing a skirt and he has to run the pace based on how we're running. And then
Yeah.
also with women, you can't have them sometimes. We used to have those issues. Okay, no, I want you guys to have an overnight. And I wouldn't care what time they'll leave the office. If it's men, they'll figure their way out.
Yeah.
But now if it's a woman, you have to start thinking, okay, you don't have to leave the office late. Those kind of
Yeah.
things. They're not practical. And women don't have to be in this kind of demanding jobs. Of course, if
True,
you're in
true.
an oil rigging company, are you going to put a woman to do that job or you're going to get a man? It's those kind of very practical, real life kind of scenarios where we don't have to be in sort of a kumbaya kind of a setting. Let's
Exactly.
bring everyone along and accommodate everyone.
Thank God we got exposed to this information. Thank God.
Thank God. Thank God. I think we were going deeper and deeper, because even I'm wondering some of this sort of knowledge that is pushed out. You've heard of this thing called emotional quotient. The other day I was actually just thinking about it. These are also very femme-centric ideas that are being pushed in either our workplaces and in our communities that, I've got no place at all. If we have to look
at these practices are all designed to tone down masculinity, emotional intelligence, safe space.
And it's in those terms, and then toxic masculinity. And I even see men championing some of these things, toxic masculinity and those. Why don't they talk of toxic femininity, which is even there? Okay, cool, man. I think we've spoken about that one. We've been in that horse long enough. I think.